We are outside the map, and today we're taking you to discover the France you won't find on postcards. Forget the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre for a moment, because we're going to explore places that even most French people don't know about. Picture yourself walking on white sand dunes where wild horses run along the shore, as if you were in a movie, descending into a medieval underground city where 20,000 people once took refuge for centuries. A place almost no one has photographed. Finding the most secret restaurant in Paris, hidden inside the city's oldest covered passageway. But that's just the beginning. We'll also walk suspended between rock walls 70 meters high, visit a village where history came to a halt in the most dramatic way possible, lose ourselves in entirely red streets that look straight out of a fairy tale, and end up in an ice palace rebuilt every year inside a glacier. 7 places that will completely change your idea of France. 7 hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Are you ready to step outside the map? Plage de l'Espiguette, the France that feels like another planet. We're at Plage de l'Espiguette, and this doesn't feel like France. It feels like the Sahara decided to move next to the Mediterranean. White sand dunes up to 12 meters high, stretch for kilometers, creating a surreal landscape that's hard to believe is just an hour from Montpellier. But here's where the magic happens. Suddenly, between the dunes, the white horses of the Camargue appear. Entire herds running free along the shore, their manes flowing in the wind, the perfect contrast between their white coats and the golden sand. It's as if they've escaped from a fantasy film. What's incredible is that this place is virtually unknown to mass tourism. While thousands crowd the beaches of the French Riviera, here you can walk for kilometers without seeing a single person. The dunes are constantly reshaped by the wind, creating a landscape that's never the same twice. And when the sun sets, the sand turns pink, flamingos appear in the nearby lagoons, and you understand why the Camargue is considered one of the last wild territories in France. It's Africa in Europe, a desert by the sea where nature does whatever it wants. But this is just the first secret France is hiding. The Cité Souterraine of Naours, the underground ghost city. Now we descend 33 meters underground, to a place France prefers to keep secret. Welcome to the Cité Souterraine of Naours, a complete city carved into the rock more than 1,000 years ago. These aren't just simple caves. They are 28 kilometers of interconnected tunnels, with underground squares, chapels, stables, water wells, bakeries, and even a cemetery. An entire city where 20,000 people lived for months, hiding from invasions that came century after century. The eerie part is that there are barely any photographs of this place. Cameras struggle against the perpetual darkness, and many galleries remain a mystery. Guides whisper that only 60% of the tunnels are known. The rest remains unexplored, sealed, or simply lost. During World War I, Australian soldiers left more than 3,000 graffiti on the walls. Names, dates, farewell messages. Some never returned from the front. Walking among those inscriptions, with only a lamp lighting the damp stone, feels like touching history with your hands. The constant 9-degree temperature, the echo of your footsteps, the absolute silence. Everything reminds you that you are in a place where thousands lived, loved, were born, and died, completely hidden from the world above. But if you think Paris has no secrets just as deep, stay with us and discover our next stop. Passage des Panoramas, the secret Paris tourists never see. We're back on the surface, in the heart of Paris, but not the Paris from the postcards. We're in the Passage des Panoramas, the oldest covered passage in the capital, built in 1800. While thousands stroll along the Champs-Élysées, only a few Parisians who know the secret pass through here. Beneath this glass and wrought iron gallery, between century-old stamp shops and dusty bookstores, hides L'Arbre à Cannelle, a restaurant so small it has only 6 tables. So discreet there's no sign on the street, so authentic it's been run by the same family for 3 generations. Here, you won't find tourists taking selfies. Only lifelong Parisians who come to have lunch just like their grandparents did. The menu is handwritten on a chalkboard, changing daily depending on what's fresh at the morning market. The walls are still decorated with the same 1920s tiles. The Italian coffee maker makes the same sound it has for decades, and when it rains, the patter on the passage's glass roof creates the perfect soundtrack for this corner, frozen in time. This is the real Paris, the one that lives in the cracks of the tourist Paris. Les Gorges du Fier, where the earth splits in two. We leave the streets of Paris behind to step into something completely different. We're just 10 minutes from Annecy, but it feels like another planet. Welcome to Les Gorges du Fier, where French nature reveals its wildest, most vertical side. This isn't just a simple trail. It's a metal walkway suspended in mid-air, hanging between rock walls that rise 70 meters above your head. Far below, 25 meters down, the Fier River roars with a force you can feel in your chest. The gorge is so narrow that in some places it's barely 2 meters wide. Every step along these walkways is a lesson in vertigo. The limestone walls, polished by millions of years of water, form impossible shapes. Giant cavities, natural arches, waterfalls dropping from above like silver threads. The humidity clings to your skin, and the echo magnifies every sound into something primal. The most breathtaking sight comes at the end. The Mer de Rochers, a chaos of massive boulders where the river disappears and reappears between blocks the size of houses. Here, you realize France is not only about culture and gastronomy, it's also raw, powerful nature that reminds you just how small you are. But get ready, because the next place holds a much darker story. Oradour-sur-Glane, the village where time stopped. And now, the tone changes completely. We arrive in Oradour-sur-Glane, a place France has preserved exactly as it was on June 10, 1944. Not out of nostalgia, but as testimony. This village wasn't abandoned, it was massacred. In a single afternoon, the SS murdered 642 inhabitants. Men, women, children, the elderly, everyone. Then they burned every house, every car, every trace of life. The entire village vanished in smoke, but France made a decision, never to rebuild. Oradour was frozen in time as a memorial. You walk through streets where cars have been rusting since 1944, sewing machines riddled with bullet holes, charred cradles, the church where 247 women and 205 children were locked inside and burned alive, with the melted bells still hanging. There's no tourism here. It's a pilgrimage. The silence is absolute, broken only by the wind between the ruins. At the end of the path, a single phrase engraved in stone, Souviens-toi. Remember, it's the hardest place in France, but also the most necessary, because there are stories that must never be forgotten. Collonges-la-Rouge, the fairy tale village. After such a harsh story, we need beauty. And France gives us Collonges-la-Rouge, a village that looks like it came straight out of a medieval storybook, but with one detail that makes it unique in the world. Everything, absolutely everything, is red. It's not by chance or whim, it's pure geology. Here in Corrèze, the local sandstone has a deep red color due to iron oxide. And when the medieval inhabitants built their houses, towers, and mansions, they used this stone exclusively. The result is magical. An entire village the color of dragon's blood. Walking through Collonges feels like stepping into a fantasy film set. Pointed towers rising above black slate roofs, noble mansions with Gothic windows, cobblestone streets winding between red walls, all under the golden light of the Limousin sun, which makes the stone shift in shade depending on the time of day. The amazing thing is that it's still a living village. The 500 inhabitants maintain their homes with the same obsessive care as their forebears. Here, there isn't a single building that breaks the harmony. It's architectural perfection in pure red. La Grotte de Glace, the Ice Palace Reborn, every year. And to finish, we've saved the most spectacular. We ascend 3,800 meters by cable car, then take the steepest cogwheel train in France, and finally descend 60 meters by elevator, all to reach the most surreal place you can imagine, the Grotte de Glace in Chamonix. This is no ordinary cave. It's a palace carved anew each year in the heart of the Mer de Glace glacier. Picture blue ice tunnels glowing with their own light, translucent walls that shift in color depending on the light, and ice sculptures that look like alien works of art. Every step is a revelation. The ice beneath your feet crackles with a crystalline sound. The walls, made of ancient compressed ice, hold air bubbles trapped for centuries. The constant -2 degrees Celsius temperature makes your breath visible, creating clouds of vapor that swirl in the bluish air. But here's the most astonishing part. This cave disappears every year. The glacier moves, the ice melts and reforms, and each season sculptors must carve it all over again from scratch. It's ephemeral art at its finest. When you emerge back to the surface and see the Alps stretching into infinity, you realize France has no limits, from Mediterranean deserts to alpine ice palaces. Can you realize? France isn't just Paris and Provence. It's a country of absolute contrasts, of secrets buried in ancient tunnels, and of breathtaking beauty at 3,800 meters above sea level. But here's the question that really matters. How many of these places did you know before this video? If the answer is 0 or at most 1, then you perfectly understand why we exist. Because the world is full of incredible places that don't show up in tourist guides. Don't flood your Instagram, but change the way you see the planet. Give us a like if at least one of these places blew your mind. Subscribe, because every week we uncover secrets from countries you thought you knew, and tell us in the comments, which of these 7 places would you visit first? And since you're here, don't miss these videos to discover more of unknown Europe.